All right, so this is the Practical Application Post, my episode titled Snowboarding 101 with Angie Romero. If you didn't watch it, go check her out. She's a boatload of fun energy, whether you follow her on Instagram and get inspired through her snowboarding stuff there, or even that episode, all good stuff. But so before I dive into some of the things we talked about, I just want to give a little big picture. Why would I include snowboarding, and in particular in New York City? Part of my goal is to get people to be active and inspired to be active in the city, but there's no mountains in the city, so why would I include it? So if you look at my podcast description, I divide physical activity and motor skills into 8 big categories, one of which is outdoor pursuits. And my argument is that each of those categories provide things to the brain and the body that the other categories cannot. And if you look at every culture pretty much in history, they have a version of these 8 categories. So outdoor pursuits is one of them, and there's tons of benefits that come from it. When we're thinking about a big city, usually our outdoor pursuits are things like running, biking, skateboarding, rollerblading. We have the river by us, so it's also kayaking. We don't have a mountain in our backyard or literally right next to our city. You kind of have to travel at least like an hour to get to one. So it's not as convenient, but why would I include it? And the main reason is because seasonally, it's a very good sport to take on. Many people in the wintertime, they get seasonal depression. They hate the winter, it snows, they don't like it. There's all these feelings towards it. And this gives you an opportunity to reframe that and get excited for things like snow in the winter. We also know that when you don't go outdoors, we don't get vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is linked to seasonal depression. So the time you need to go outdoors the most is the time when you kind of don't want to. But it's very important to do that. So snowboarding is just an opportunity to get you outdoors in the wintertime and to keep you excited for going outdoors and participating in some type of outdoor pursuit. You could also do things like ice skating or something else in the winter, but this is just one variation for you to consider. When you think about outdoor pursuits, I mean, I can go on and on about the benefits. I'll give you a couple in just a second. But just know that, you could use any outdoor pursuit to achieve those benefits. However, snowboarding is just one extra thing that you can do, and you can especially do in the wintertime. Variety is good. You don't need to be a master of one thing. You don't have to say like, I'm a runner and that's all I'm ever going to do for outdoor pursuits. If you're concerned about health, it's super important to participate in a variety of stuff. Maybe in the seasons it changes also. So for myself, I'll snowboard in the winter. I'll kind of do rock climbing maybe in fall and spring, and in the summer I'll do kayaking, and I kind of bike all year long. So just giving you some ideas as to why I feel this is so important, even for the average person, and a couple other things about outdoor pursuits in general and why they're so important. One thing I mentioned was vitamin D, right? So you are getting sunlight, you're getting outdoors, but you're also getting things such as locomotion. So as you go from point A to point B and you move forward in space, there's a lot of things that happen in the brain and positive psychology and moving on and feeling accomplished, feeling like you're moving on to bigger and better things in the world. So it's good for feelings. It's good for experiencing awe. I took a class called The Science of Happiness, and in there they listed a bunch of things that help to, increase happiness or just feeling content in the world. And one of the big things is experiencing awe, being submerged in nature and in a place that it almost is like awe-inspiring, where it's so big it's kind of shocking to some degree. But when you're out at that mountain or you're looking up at the sky and you feel like you're this small little thing amongst this large universe and you're embedding yourself in nature. So there's a big spiritual component there, and it helps with happiness. There is also the accessibility component. If you think about it, if you can only walk, and I can walk, run, climb, swim, do all these other things, the more things I have access to, it's likely that it's going to improve my confidence, right? So, and there's tons of research to support that. You're getting another motor skill, and you're able to move about in a mountain, and that alone helps to just increase confidence. There's also links to locomotion and stuff like how we think and cognitive function. So maybe creative thinking or your ability to be able to focus and pay attention. So, I mean, I could go on and on as to outdoor pursuits and exploring the great outdoors and what are some of the benefits. But so you could do any activity you want to accomplish that. Snowboarding is one of those, but it's one of my favorites in particular for winter. And it's just pretty cool. Angie was saying in the episode, the first guy that ever did snowboarding, he took two skis, put them together and just stood on them sideways. So it makes me think like it started in a creative, fun, playful, maybe even a rebellious type of nature. I don't know. There's something cool, fun, and exciting about snowboarding. It's a newer sport. It hasn't been around for that long. There's a lot of new sports in this grand scheme of time, right? But relatively newer sport. So that's pretty cool too. And there's a lot of new young people starting to participate in it, especially in New York City. And when you think of New York City, you don't think of the mountains, but there's a lot of communities and organizations that are supporting snowboarding in the city and helping people to get out. We talked about in the episode, there's things like the Chill Foundation, big shout out to them. They take inner city youth and show them the mountain and how to get out there and access it. There's companies like Override that have buses that leave from the city, especially when it's a snowstorm. You think, oh my God, we got to hide. And they're kind of like, let's get these buses ready to go and hit the mountain. Whole different perspective. You have Burton right in New York City. We were just there yesterday. I'm sure that even if you just walked in the store and talked to some of the people, I'm sure they're going to be able to connect you with tons of resources. There's organizations like Angie's, which is 5 borough borders. And they help people to just cut down on costs and, get out to the mountain, people in the city. And there's tons of organizations like that. We listed a bunch in the episode. Go check them out. But New York City, you have tons of ways to be able to get out to the mountain. We talked about some of the closest mountains in New York City. You have Mountain Creek, and then you have Big Snow. Big Snow is not a mountain, but if you're new, it's a great first place to start. It's close. It's in the American Dream Mall. It's an indoor ski and snowboard venue, and it's a great place to go. Learn your skills before you hit the mountain. From there, maybe go hit Mountain Creek or another close mountain. And then from there, you can keep graduating further and further. Angie mentioned some mountains in Pennsylvania. There's some close ones there. Then we talked about, Hunter Mountain, Wyndham. Then you kind of go a little further to Vermont. You have your like Stratton and your Killington vibe. You go even further and you kind of have your Stowe and Jay Peak. But all these really cool mountains that we have access to right here on the East Coast. Many people say we're the Ice Coast and they talk some smack. Yes, is West Coast boarding usually a little better? Yeah, I'll give it to them. But Vermont, Stratton, Killington, Jay Peak, these are still great, great mountains. And in fact, snowboarding was popularized by Jake Burton, and he opened up the store in Burlington, Vermont. So that's right next to Stowe and Jay Peak and all these places. So the home of snowboarding to some degree, while he was not the inventor of it, but was right here on the East Coast. And we have some amazing mountains right here on the East Coast. You can make a nice little road trip out of it, do a couple local ones, smaller mountains here, and then graduate up. And then make a trip out of West Coast and all that too, which is the nice thing about snowboarding. We talked about that experiencing awe. What's good about that is you're not seeing this all the time, right? Something's not awe-inspiring if you always do it. Like if I go out on my West Coast trip, I'm going to be impressed by that, and it's almost going to be life-changing or spiritually lifting to some degree. And you want that too, not that like it's in my backyard, I look at it every day and I almost get bored of it. I mean, no matter where you are, you're going to get bored of your backyard. I did the episode with Russ Kloon, who lives like just right down the block from the Gunks, a great climbing location. The more climbing there as far as like quantity of climbs than almost anywhere in the world. And he said, he still kind of is now at a place where he has to travel to re-get that almost excitement again. So we're always going to have to travel. You're always going to kind of get bored of your backyard. And even if you live on the West Coast, so you're still going to have to travel to get to those cool mountains too. But those are some cool little mountains you can think about. When you're first starting out, it's going to take a little bit of time to get good. I say there's some research to support around 20 hours of practice and to get good at a new skill. And so, you're probably, if you're on the mountain for 6 hours, 6, 12, 18, you're going to have to go like 3-4 times before you probably start to get the hang of this. Angie said it's better to go consistently back to back as opposed to maybe like once a year. But once you make that investment, you now have that skill and that confidence, almost for the rest of your life to some degree. You now downloaded the program and have earned it. And now you get to play with it forever, this whole thing, right? But it will take a little bit of work in that beginning to learn how to snowboard. And so I recommend also enjoying the winter vibes. Find yourself a little cozy winter town. One of my favorite ones, do I gatekeep right now or do I say it? But on the East Coast, there's Hudson, New York is by far one of my favorite little cozy winter towns. And it's a little far from the mountains, like 40 minutes from Hunter Mountain, but I actually enjoy that little drive after to get to the cozy town. But whether you're in like a cozy winter town or if you stay right on the mountain, many of these mountains at the base, like Stratton, has a whole town literally at the base. So, they have like jacuzzis and hot tubs and the fireplace and, all these cozy little winter village things. So I recommend, taking advantage of those in this whole experience. And you're going to get a lot of locomotion just walking around, not just from snowboarding, and you'll be outside. So there's the Hudson, New York. There's Stratton that has that there. Angie mentioned like Lake Placid and Whiteface is a pretty cool place there. And then of course Burlington, Vermont, and I think you're not too far from Stowe and Jay Peak there as well. There's some really cute wintry town stuff there. So those are just some things we talked about in the episode. Angie says by far it is worth the investment. It's something that pretty much almost saved her life to some degree, and I hear that from many people. And you could say that lightly, but also not that lightly. Yeah, are you going to live in the winter? Sure, but if you can find something that totally transforms your perspective of winter and being outdoors and being able to be a part of a community and get out there, and it really is life-changing to a degree. So check out the episode, the full-length episode. There's some other good gems in there. She mentions what her favorite mountain is on the East Coast. And, so that's a little gem. And there's some other big gems that she talks about. So check it out. Stay connected. I hope to see you all on the mountain. Don't forget, one last piece, Epic and Ikon. We talked about that. Those are passes that can get you into several different parks. So as opposed to buying a ticket for one mountain, if I buy an Epic Pass, that kind of can get me into a whole bunch of parks on the East Coast, West Coast, all around. And it's like buying a season pass to some degree. At the end of the season is the best time to buy the passes for next year. She recommends Epic for, if you're just starting out, I think going to Big Snow is your number one. From there, you could buy some passes from there on Groupon for pretty cheap. After that, I would say Mountain Creek has a triple play pass where they give you 3 passes and they give you a pretty good discount. Get that as early as possible. From there, I think the next graduation is to the Epic Pass because some of those mountains are a little bit closer, like Hunter Mountain. And then from there is the Ikon Pass. And, she says, I don't know if one's necessarily better or worse, or they could be just different. But I do think that Epic has some of those closer mountains, and then Ikon could be a little further. So check it out. Buy your pass now as the season is starting to end. And I hope to catch you all. There's still springboarding, so should be on the mountain next week. Maybe I'll catch you there or next season. Check out that full episode. I'll see you soon.